In China, since the time of the Han Dynasty, a plant called ma huang, meaning yellow hemp, has been used in traditional Chinese medicine. In 1885, a derivative of the plant was isolated from ma huang and it was named ephedrine. Now, China began exporting ephedrine to the West soon after, where it was named amphetamine and marketed as Benzedrine by the American Medical Association for a range of health disorders. Throughout World War II, amphetamines were used by the US, German and Japanese armies for their effect of creating alertness and fighting fatigue in soldiers. As recently as the 1991 Gulf War, over half of the US pilots involved admitted using stimulants to stay awake. Today in Australia, we know that while the amount of people that use amphetamine has not jumped significantly, in the last decade the shift away from powdered amphetamine, or speed, to crystal methamphetamine, or ice, a much stronger and potent form of amphetamine, has certainly occurred. This increase in purity, along with an increase of availability, has significantly increased the harms to the user, their families and the community. And there are a lot of different reasons why people use drugs and why some experience more harms than others. But make no mistake, ice cuts through all social barriers and is not like anything we've seen before. Amphetamine, methamphetamine and crystal methamphetamine, which is otherwise known as ice, are all part of the same family of drugs. You might have heard amphetamine called by street names like speed, goey, Lou Reed, whiz, whipper or bass. Well, crystal meth or ice can also be referred to as crystal, shard, rock, glass or meth. Amphetamines can be swallowed, snorted or injected, but most commonly ice is smoked or burned through a glass pipe called a cracky. Being able to use ice in this way removes a barrier for people who otherwise wouldn't touch it because it may have involved the use of needles. But don't be fooled, smoking can be just as addictive and just as harmful. Methamphetamine and ice create stronger, longer lasting effects compared with everyday speed and are more toxic because of how they interact with the brain. Think of normal amphetamines as a weak instant coffee and ice as a triple short black. Similar in properties, but much different in effects. They're all classified as stimulants, which means they speed up the messages between your brain and the central nervous system. They also increase the naturally occurring chemicals in your brain that are connected to reward and enjoyment. It's these neurotransmitters that create the powerful effects of using the drug and is part of the reason why people keep coming back to it. These neurotransmitters are also responsible for the surge in adrenaline that leads to strong feelings of anxiety and paranoia. So why do people use ice when we all know the massive risk for harm? Well, like a lot of drugs, it simply feels really good when you first start. It can create feelings of confidence, euphoria, motivation, and provide energy to be a part of the party for as long as it's going. Sometimes people with mental health concerns may find that in the short term, using ice may provide some relief, but you don't get something for nothing. You may also feel agitated, anxious, irritable or paranoid. You may do or say things that you normally wouldn't and then have to deal with the consequences. It might be hard to say no when a pipe is passed around a group of friends, but it's even harder to know exactly how much you might be using. Ice can be so strong that very small amounts can cause very large effects. This may mean staying awake for much longer than you mean to, and it being really hard to shut down and get to sleep when you need to. Maybe you don't get to sleep at all. That sure doesn't help the paranoia and anxiety when you have to face friends and families in the daylight. Using other drugs such as smoking pot or taking sleepers to try and help with getting to sleep is a natural consequence, but this can lead to more unpleasant side effects or increased dependence on another drug. In fact, a lot of the drug-related presentations to hospital involve people mixing ice with other drugs and then being unable to cope with the result. What ice gives today, it takes from tomorrow. Coming down and recovery can last for days. It can make someone irritable, anxious, lethargic or depressed. A rough place to be for the user, but also a rough place for anyone close to them. Things that would normally put a smile on your face or make you feel excited don't have the same effect because your natural feel-good chemicals have been so knocked around by the ice. For heavy users, that recovery towards feeling normal can take weeks and even months. Long-term effects of repeated ice use are physical, social and psychological. Your body suffers, your relationships, family life and work can suffer. Your mental health can suffer, and the short-term effects of depression and mixed up thinking can become entrenched and lead to serious long-term mental health concerns. There's no type of person in particular or group of people that can be pinpointed as more likely to use ice. It cuts across all layers of the community, and we all probably know of good people who've become affected. The highs, the lows and the recovery can all present risks for the workplace. It's obvious. If someone is affected by amphetamines or ice, then they shouldn't be at work. Being affected could mean that a person has used recently. They might feel fine and that they can go hard all day, but the reality is they're putting everyone at risk. They can be lost in their own world and not present with what's going on around them, daydreaming and distracted. They can be tearing into things full of energy, but not working in a safe manner. They may become confrontational over small things, misreading a situation, and becoming aggressive or paranoid. But being affected and unsafe at work may also involve that person who used on the weekend, but is still hungover on the Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday. Now that can be from lack of sleep, the time it takes for the drug to actually process out of your system, or the effects of coming down and withdrawal. If you think you're not able to work safely, then don't put others at risk. Don't go into work. And if you need support or to talk to someone, then contact your local union or go to notatwork.com.au to find someone to call near you. If you think that someone isn't able to work safely, then you need to talk directly to them, your HSR or the shoppie about it. It's not about lagging people in, it's about safety for everyone and getting support to someone who may need it. By looking after each other and responding collectively, we can keep workplaces safe, get people to help if they need it, and improve the well-being of all.